Welcome to Chapter 4 of the Object-Oriented Programming Guide in PHP. So far, we've looked at what object-oriented programming is. We've looked at classes and objects, properties and methods. We've looked at magic methods that we can use in PHP to do things when an object is created or destroyed. And we've created a mildly fun game called Higher or Lower, which I've got on the screen in front of me here. So now we're just going to dig a little deeper into object-oriented programming, and we're going to start by looking at extending classes. So let's go back to our baddie class. There we go, that's what we had, and we had a variable evilness, which we had a default value of 10. And let's create a method increase evilness, and that will just increase the evilness by 1. There we go. Okay, and we'll have Gannon back again. He can be our new baddie. And let's just make sure everything's working fine. Great, that's working fine. So what if I wanted to have a kind of subclass of baddie? Maybe all the bosses I wanted to treat slightly differently. Maybe give them a certain level of evilness, or make them behave in a certain way. Well, that's pretty straightforward to do. What I do is create a new class. I'm going to call it boss, and I use the extends keyword, baddie, like that. So what this means is I've got a new class which is called boss, and it extends baddie. So essentially it takes all of the things that baddie does and absorbs them into itself. So let's see what happens if I make Gannon a boss. It should do pretty much the same thing, right? Because they're the same class. Let's have a look. Indeed, exactly the same thing happens. So evilness is set to 10, but of course this is a boss object, not a baddie object now. So if I want to, I can overwrite the properties of the baddie class. So let's say bosses are going to have a default evilness of 50. See what happens. That now gives it 50. So this can be really powerful, and you can have then maybe several different types of baddie which all behave in a certain way, so certain different groups, maybe different baddies for different levels, or whatever it might be. So these are essentially subclasses. You take the main class of baddie and create a new class which absorbs all the things that the baddie class does, but can change them and add extra things if it wants. So we could have a function, let's say public method, public function. If we wanted to have a function which happened when the baddie was destroyed, how would we do that? Hopefully you remember, double underscore and destruct. So let's say echo you beat the boss. So that could happen, or the level might end, or you might save the princess, or whatever it might be. So we've now got a new boss. Let's get rid of our variable dump and see what happens when we destroy Gannon. Let's have a look. You beat the boss. Fantastic. And of course, if Gannon was just a baddie, then that wouldn't happen. So this method is only for bosses, not for baddies. Okay, so that's how we use the extend command to create subclasses with possibly different properties and methods than the original class.